We are here live at Spacey Cloud Lounge. I have a special guest with me today, the Alan Amsterdam.
Hey everybody.
Capitol Hemp and one of the silent movement makers in Initiative 71. Alan, we were just talking and we just realized that we're upon the 10th
anniversary.
The 10th anniversary. Can you tell us a little bit about how this came about and how things are different from year 1 to where we are now in year 10?
Yeah, well, when Hemp History Week first happened, it was extremely small. It started, it was a national movement, but it was kind of, scattered across America. And at the time, hemp wasn't, what it was now, and it was extremely limited in the, places that was happening. Capitol Hemp, my business, we had Hemp History Week, and we kind of represented DC at the time. And there was really nothing going on in the city when it came to hemp. And we were the first store that, built our store at a hemp fiber board since Prohibition. And for us, it was really like a treat to be able to take something and kind of educate the population of DC, because people come in, what is Hemp History Week and what's going on here? And we were able to kind of educate people and really give them the knowledge about the hemp plant and the many uses that it has and really what it's about. And every year since then, it's kind of grown to this huge thing. Now in 2019, where we have legal hemp, unbelievable that went through Congress, and then President Trump signed it, and now here we are, year 10, legal hemp, and it's an amazing time. It's exciting times in the United States. I can't even believe it myself. I never thought we'd get to this point, but we got here a lot quicker than I thought.
Yeah, it's happened, and thank you so much for everything that you've done to progress in this movement. And I see that it's becoming more and more popular, but I still feel like we have a long way to go.
Absolutely.
What are some of the things that you foresee, some of the challenges now that we do have set in stone definition of what hemp is? What do you think some of the challenges will be moving forward?
Well, I think first off, scalability. Getting hemp to the masses. We already have in Whole Foods, let's say, hemp seed. We have hemp milk and all those kind of products. But really getting it to the point where you can use it for sustainable housing. Or now we're having even issues with differentiating hemp flower from regular cannabis. As you know, now a lot of stores like myself, Capitol Hemp is selling hemp flower, and so we sell hemp flower with high CBD. So you have industrial hemp, you have hemp with CBD, you have regular cannabis, and kind of figuring it all out and where it all stands in legal terms is another issue. You have many truckloads of hemp flower coming across the borders, the state borders, and they're getting confiscated. Police think it's real cannabis. And so I think one, scalability, getting it to the point where it's where we have hemp plastics, instead of plastic forks and knives and paper plates that are not made from trees, but paper plates that are actually made from hemp. I think that's really the next level. And with that, a lot of research and development needs to happen.
Yes,
and a lot of money needs to come into these research. So I think that's where the barriers are right now. Is all these companies trying to figure out, number one, we have to plant it. This is the first year where everyone can really plant hemp legally. Other than the Obama Farm Bill that worked, but it was kind of, you had to be attached to a university.
Yeah, it was limiting, right?
Very limiting. And now certain states, like Kentucky, and certain states are kind of they're immediately doing it. But, a lot of the all the states have to apply to the USDA to get their licenses. So some of them are slow, some of them aren't really doing it. So getting the states up to speed is number one. Is the first thing. And a lot of states are dragging their feet and not really participating in it this year. Other states like Maryland, 2020, they're going to be full on. And so I think the quicker the states get there and the quicker the industry kind of ramps up in each state is when we really get to that kind of the next level.
Yes, that's really exciting, and I'm glad that you mentioned a lot about the fibers. I think that's one thing that's missing with so much focus on CBD specifically. Let's talk a little bit about fibers. Now you said that you guys actually used fiber when you were designing the original Capitol Hemp store. That's really dope. This is something I'm learning for the first time.
Yeah, and at the time in the United States, getting hemp fiber was impossible. Hemp was illegal, so we actually had to source our hemp fiber from China. And the process of sourcing from China was the most ridiculous process. We had one person in California that was our contact, and he was hooked up with the farmers in China, and so we had to kind of go through him. And this was like this 6-month process. It was extremely expensive. It took forever to get here. By the time it got here, we were using it and it splintered our hands. It wasn't built correctly, and you can't send it back. But at this point, 6 months later, you need to build a store. So there was like incomplete processing, and we were just really like just desperate just to have this house. We just put it out. We coated it so it wouldn't people touch it, wouldn't split their hands. But getting that first hemp fiber board in America and being the first store to actually do this and to like show the world, wow, you can build your store to hemp
Even
fiber.
to this day, like 10 years later, there's nobody that's doing it on that level at all.
I mean, there is housing that's coming. I'm seeing that there's hemp housing going on, but yeah, the industry is still in its infancy stages. It's still starting out, and I think that as states get on board and the research and development get in there, and then really federal funding needs to come down as well. We have this legalization now, but one of the most important things is you have all these farm subsidies and this and that. We need some hemp subsidies. We need the federal government to actually go and start really investing in the hemp industry and really kind of helping these farmers get operational. Most farmers in America right now, they're startups. Nobody's helping them. If they don't have the money to do it, they can't get in. And so you're finding all these big agris that are coming in now. And they're like, well, we're going to take it over. And so that's kind of a scary thought that all of a sudden this industry could be just going to the guys with all the money, the people with all the money, whether it's Wall Street firms or other like Scots, Miracle Grows getting involved. They're buying fields of to grow hemp in. So we really need to kind of figure out how it's all going to bubble up. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's exciting times, no matter what.
Definitely.
And but it's really kind of figuring out how it's all going to come to fruition, how this industry is going to evolve. And right now, it's still kind of all over the place. We're still a startup.
Yeah, and even though we have farming in the States, we really don't have an infrastructure for processing and creating these building materials. So we're still the largest importer, and like you mentioned, we're constantly importing things from China, from different parts of Europe,
Canada, Czech Republic are the two big ones, China as well. And to not be beholden to them for hemp is a huge, huge advantage in America now. We have a lot of land, so this is an incredible opportunity for American farmers and for big agri as well, because they have a lot to offer as well when it comes to sustainable growing, and they can benefit by having them involved. But it really is important that American farmers get involved now and figure this out, because we're finding out from 2014 that the first year there was a lot of mistakes made. The second year they get smarter. Like every year you farm hemp, you start really figuring out how to do it, because there wasn't in 2014 there wasn't any farm equipment that was specific to hemp. Now there's a lot of trade shows and they have hemp equipment. I think John Deere's getting involved. All these companies are really kind of working towards figuring out how to actually harvest hemp, how to grow it, and how to harvest it.
Yeah, it's exciting times, and with a lot of the people that are getting involved in everything, how do you see that benefiting our economy down the road, maybe a year from now, 5 years from now, and a decade from now?
Well, we're already seeing a big benefit now, especially with the CBD hemp, because now you have three kind of things. You have industrial hemp, where people can grow it for you, whether it's hemp milk, seed, any kind of process can go to Whole Food or Safeway or any of those kind of markets where people are going to eat it. And then you also have the fiber market where people are making clothes. And then now what we're really seeing is the CBD world. That's where it's really rocking. Whether it's hemp flour, whether it's the whole CBD tinctures, thermal patches, anything to do with kind of the CBD health issue, is really where the money is right now. That's where everything is now. Whether that's going to go down, when all these big companies get involved with the price tanks. We still have issues with the federal government. They're getting involved and they're saying, well, this is legal, but that's not legal. Like for example, they say hemp flour in its raw state is legal, but food, anything you put CBD in food is not legal.
Yeah, this new terminology, food adulteration.
Yeah, it's one of those conundrums that this industry's in, and I don't even think the federal government knows what they're doing at this point. They're still trying to figure it out. So they kind of put the cat came out of the bag with legalization, but they really had no real regulations. So that we're doing this, and nobody knows going on.
Yeah, and some of the regulations seem unrealistic. Like I was able to sit in on a conversation with the USDA, and they were collecting feedback from tribal organizations, from other state legislators that have a program in place, and just growers that have been in the game for a while. And a lot of the concerns were with the 0.3%, for example. If you're growing in a state like Arizona, where the temperature gets to 110, your crop might not test the same as if you're growing in somewhere with a cooler climate. So do you see them kind of taking those things into account and actually changing that 0.3%, or do you think that that's something they're going to keep so they can?
No. At this point, the 0.3 is going to stay.
Yeah.
The real problem is happening is that the 0.3 is, whether it's like the narco pouches that the police have in their cars, when they test material, they're testing it for cannabinoids, so it's going to test positive. So testing is a huge issue in America because we don't know. And I was at when the hemp farm bill became law. There's a press conference. I don't know if you're down there for that. DC, it was like a couple months ago.
Okay, at the Etone? Or following the event at Etone, I think.
I'm not sure if it was that or
Yeah,
not, but they had a press conference, and basically the hemp farmers were saying, we sent 10 different samples out to be tested. Every one of those samples came back, different tests. So we don't even have, testing, the testing in America is still not there. So we really don't know what's going on, as far as, science goes. The federal government has to step up and really fund these facilities because we're leaving it up to these private organizations. A lot of them have their own interests at heart. So, they might even own the testing facility. So they're going to test our stuff at 0.3 or less, whether it goes there or not. So, I don't trust, a lot of it. And unless it's third party tested or government gets involved and kind of gets a standardization going on in the industry, we're really in kind of a weird position where we don't know what's going on. Nobody really knows what's happening with all these tests, because if you're sending tests out to 10 different private labs, you're getting 10 different test results from the same plant. They're taking like a bud off of one plant, sending it out. What's going on with that? You know what I mean? It's like, I just don't understand, how the federal government can legalize this product and yet have no standardization. Kind of avoid that whole thing. Like, we're going to make it legal and then have no real regulations, and we're just going to figure it out as we go. Well, they should have already had this done before they even went that direction.
Real talk.
Our federal government.
Yeah, so now we have to work backwards, try to figure things out as we go. From what I understand, places that currently might have had like CBD products in New York, for example, the health department are the ones that are coming in and enforcing it. But
and it's a state health department issue. It's not like the federal government. So these states, they don't know what they're doing, and their testing facilities are spotty at best.
Yeah.
So they come in and they try to regulate something that the federal government legalized, and they're figuring that they're kind of playing catch up as well.
Yeah, everyone's just kind of figuring it out as they go.
And meanwhile, companies are trying to exist and trying to move into this space and trying to educate the population and try to get there. And without proper regulations, we're just in this kind of weird way where it's like, especially with Capitol Hemp, like we buy products from these companies. And every time I call a company, I'm like, do you have third-party testing? They send me the test. It's a piece of paper. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's fucking right.
Yeah.
I hope it's right. I mean, I don't want to, I don't want to be illegal under federal law. I don't want to follow the rules. But, I actually have to hope that these companies that are sending me these third-party tests are legitimate. That they don't own them and they're just doctoring them for sales. So it's one of these weird worlds that we're in right now. And so we really have, like I said, standardization, federal standardization. We don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. So we covered a little bit about CBD. We talked a little bit about textiles for building. Some of the first things that I have in my hemp collection are from Capitol Hemp. I got this really sweet pair of shoes when you guys had your grand reopening, and they're hip shoes. They're black and white. I wish I had them with me right now to show everyone.
I know what you're talking about, the spot shoes. They look
they're like
anti-brand.
They're anti-brand.
They're the anti-Converse.
Yes. So I still have those shoes. That was one of the first items in my hemp collection, followed by this really dope Thievery Corporation Rasta shirt.
Yeah, that was a Thievery. Yeah, we did a collab
I
with
still
Thievery.
have that. Yes, yes, yes.
Thievery Corporation were friends of ours, and at that point, they had these great DC flag shirts, and they were touring around the world with these, and we were like, hey, can we do a collab? At the time, my store manager was married to one of the sound guys from Thievery, and kind of got approval for that, so we were kind of proud of that. We were able to do a nice, cool
That's
collab.
awesome.
We had Capitol Hemp on one side, and we had Thievery on the other side,
Yeah.
and we had the DC flag right here.
I
and
try
then
not
hemp
to wear it
shirts,
too
yeah.
often, but that's
Those are collector's
totally
items.
one of my favorite shirts.
we don't make this anymore. We
Yeah.
only made a limited run when we did that as well. So.
Yeah, so I've gotten a few things from there. My jacket is also from Capitol Hemp. Keeps me warm to this day. I think I've had it for at least 4 years now. So yeah, props to you guys.
Thank you.
I guess when it comes to understanding that hemp can be used for clothing, the big things are why hemp. So maybe if you could tell us a little bit about like
Well, it's,
what's great about it as a material.
sustainable product. It doesn't scar the earth. Number one. It has so many uses that when you grow the hemp plant, I mean, it's not just making clothing. There's so many things you can use the hemp plant for. I mean, there's thousands of uses for it. And it's a durable hemp. It's durable, number one, and it's antibacterial. And there's just, it's just a fiber that.
Great for working out.
Yeah. It's a fiber that really, got out of our ecosystem, our human ecosystem, and in some countries, it stayed there. In China, they were always growing, they've been growing hemp. Prohibition in America didn't affect them; they grew hemp always. I think the Chinese military actually used, their hemp. The jackets are made from hemp. So, the world has known about hemp, and it's always been here, and it's always been a sustainable crop. And due to, unfortunately, prohibition, it got kind of out of our ecosystem, and now it's back in, and it's just incredible, and especially in 2019 with, hemp being legalized, it's like fucking A, and, farmers being able to now grow it. But, sorry to get back to your...
No, I think
a little off track
you
there.
hit it on the head, and I think kind of going back in history and understanding why hemp was outlawed along with its cousin plant. What are some of the similarities and differences when you're looking at like the flower or the